So I do a lot of research on discrimination, and when I started looking at the research on LGBT discrimination, I saw a lot of excellent research, qualitative excellent research, and a lot of really interesting normative arguments. But I didn't see a lot of statistical analysis of the factors that impacted why certain countries legally discriminated against their LGBT communities and others did not. And so what we did was, myself and my colleague Udi Summers from University of Tel Aviv, what we did was we collected data, used some UN data, and we did analysis of the factors that made a country more or less likely to punish sodomy legally. One of the things we found out, which we thought was very interesting, is that the major factor, most people think that the major factor is current religious status of countries, but that's actually not true for anti-sodomy laws. The major factor actually is a decision that was made 500 years ago when the British decided that they didn't want to be Catholic anymore. They decided that sodomy was a Catholic practice and they outlawed it. And then they went and conquered a third of the world. And they brought their law with them, which said that sodomy was illegal and was punishable with the death penalty. And a lot of countries, when they stopped being British colonies, kept that law on the books within the context of the common law. Interestingly, when France started to develop the civil law code, that law wasn't there. And so when the French went out and conquered their part of the world and gave their law system to the Spanish, even though there was a lot of societal discrimination against LGBT community, that anti-sodomy law wasn't there. And so we have this path-dependent impact that has impacted the lives of hundreds of millions of people around the world that really was in large part a result of a decision made by a minister in the UK 500 years ago. We've also done research on the death penalty for homosexuality, and in this case it actually is current religious status. So countries that have formal state religions are more likely to have the death penalty for homosexuals than countries that don't. So we have one case where we have this path dependence of the religious state 500 years ago, and we have another where the current religious state of a country is having an impact on the death penalty. One of the things we want to do next is we want to start collecting societal discrimination, data on societal discrimination, not just legal discrimination, so we can start analyzing those factors that make it more likely that a society will be more or less discriminatory towards the LGBT community. And we believe this is important for a couple of reasons. One is we believe that academically we're shedding light on these different issues, which we think is inherently important in its own right. We think there's some policy importance here as well, helping activists identify where they need to focus on and what are the factors that are going to make something more or less likely related to the rights of the LGBT community, which has made tremendous advances over the last 30 years, but there's a large, large swath of things that still need to change to treat LGBT people equally across the world.